So, I'm going to turn this over to my partner in crime, my high priest, my husband, my best friend. He's going to talk about the wine. Take it away, Silenus.
Well, I'd be happy to. So tonight we have chosen a true Greek wine. This is the Hermes Winery's Nemea. It is a Agigortico. I don't speak Greek, so I apologize.
It's all Greek to me.
It's also known as the St. George Grape. It is out of the classic region of Nemea. It is a fruity yet dry wine, very soft on the palate, with deep dark fruits and a little bit of cherry. If you can find them, you're looking about $15-20 a bottle. Very approachable, very, very easy drinking. So if you're not a tannins person, it's not going to beat you up. You can actually sit back and just enjoy it. And yeah, so let's get down to it and talk about Hermes and drink some wine.
Yes, so we're going to talk about Hermes. Hermes. Hermes is so many things to so many people. He's a trickster. He's a messenger. He's funny. He's sly. He's cunning.
He's a gambler.
He's a gambler. He's a lover.
Suave, yes. Brenna, he's suave.
He's suave. He's Rico Suave. He's Hermes. We love him. And one of the things, he's known for all these wonderful things. The thing that I love working with Hermes is when it comes to communication. He knows what he is doing. Yes, he's a thief too. Yes, he is. But he also finds lost things.
Yep.
I do have a really funny story about a Spring Mysteries a few years back when we were on the beach and I was helping do stage managing stuff. And I'm not going to give it too much, but somebody lost a shoe on the beach at Fort Flagler. Now, if you've seen the beach at Fort Flagler, it's all like branches and dead trees and driftwood. How are we going to find a shoe? And they, on the walkie-talkie, there's like, so-and-so needs their shoe. And I'm like, it's the only pair of shoes he brought. And I'm like, oh my God. So we're looking, and I'm getting tired.
And it was one shoe.
It was one shoe. So I pleaded to Hermes. I'm like, if I don't find this MF shoe right now, I'm going to have to call that person on the walkie and say, sorry, you're going to be one shoe without. And lo and behold, I looked down right in front of me and I found his shoe. So I was like, EO, Hermes, clink and drink to Hermes find and lost shit. Because I tell you what, it works.
The other thing with Hermes is he is the god of traveling. And so when you're on your pilgrimage, you are always safe to call upon him to watch over you. And we have had no trouble on any of our trips to the mysteries thanks to his protection.
Yes, if you ever are going on long trips, and I know that a few of you here, Nim, have some stories about Hermes protection, and we'll get to that towards the end because I want to hear your guys' experiences with Hermes. So, Hermes, communication. This is a big one for me. When I was at the seminary, wiccanseminary.edu, there was one part where we worked on our throat chakra. And I'm like...
I work your throat chakra all the time.
He does. So he massages it. So I was like, throat chakra, I've got this. I'm a natural talker. Okay, but then I learned so much about communication, and a big part of it... Oh, where did you find your shirt?
I will put the link on up after this.
Yeah.
I have to look it up on my phone, but I found it, and it was absolutely amazing. It says Male Witch.
Yes.
So for any of my male witches out there, represent.
Yes.
It was like $20, well worth the spending.
It looks great on him. He's kind of gothy today because he's all in black, and he's got his toenails painted black. So yeah, I'm like,
pedicure day. It
was pedicure day and manicure day for me. So I was like, I've got this. I'm so good at talking, right? I don't know if anyone knows this about me, but I love to talk. But one of the biggest things about communication is listening. Listening. And this has been coming up over and over and over with us. And we decided, let's like talk about this at Spring Mysteries, get the Hermes wine, and let's talk about listening. How good of a listener are we? It's hard to look at. See, he's perfect example, and I'm putting you on the spot because he's a Gemini, and Geminis
are awesome.
Are very Hermes-like.
Gemini. I see you, Brenna.
He sees you. He sees you. So.
True that, Mary.
I am.
True that.
I am.
I see you as well, Ariel. You're Geminis, but.
So this came up was like when you need to communicate well with someone, you need to listen. And I'm not talking about just wait till they're done talking. We all do it. Mm-hmm. We all do that thing where we are like already thinking about what we want to say while they're talking, and that's not listening. That's not listening at all. That's just saying, oh yeah, I'll give them their chance to talk, but then, I got something to say. So I want to talk about that, and you were going to say something.
Well, we were all given the same thing as body parts. We got one mouth and 2 ears. 2 is more than 1. Remember that.
Yes. We have 2 ears for a reason. Oh, look it.
Yep.
Oh, our coven sister, Madhouse. She found the link. I love her. So yes, we do. We have 2 ears for a reason. So why do you think? I want you guys to share this. This is interactive. Let's drink. Let's talk. Let's gab. Why is it hard for any of you? And raise your hands, and you can turn the camera on when I call you. Do you have a struggle with this? Is this a struggle for you to really hear what that person is saying? Does anyone want to talk about that? I will look and see who's raising their hands. All right, I'm going to go down the list.
We got Woodbine first.
Woodbine, go ahead. And you can turn the camera on if you want or not, but go ahead.
I actually had to be taught about the 2 ears, 1 mouth method from my own teacher, and I'm very good about it unless I'm angry. Sometimes when I'm angry, I have Raging Cajun syndrome, and I'm ready. That's who I turn into. My Cajun ancestry comes over me, and I'm ready to talk and just rip someone a new asshole.
Yeah.
And I had to learn, even when I'm angry, I have to truly hear someone else out. Because maybe I'm angry because I don't understand what really happened, and my anger, I have to calm it down so I can hear.
Absolutely. And that's really good that you identify that in yourself, because think about when you're arguing, there's even an art to arguing. Because if you're going to have an argument or a disagreement with someone, you shut them out when you think you're right. You know what I mean? So you're just not going to listen to what they have to say. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that is one of the biggest miscommunications is when there's a disagreement. But if you can sit and say, look, okay, yeah, honor your feelings. I'm upset, right? But
I'll remember to honor their feelings.
But honor their feelings too.
Yes,
Brenna, would you like to say something?
Hi, yes, I'm the next caller from Ferndale, Washington.
Hi. Welcome to the show. Clink and drink to Brenna.
Clink and drink.
Long time listener, first time caller. I love it.
She calls us all the time.
She calls us all the time.
I do call all the time. Hashtag Gemini. So, so recently I've been doing a lot of communication things with my partner in crime for the festival Skyfae. And she and I have very different ways of showing appreciation. And I don't want to overburden her with tasks. But when she is asked to do something that she enjoys, she sees it as appreciation. So this week has been a lot of her saying, do you need me to do this? And I say, no, you don't have to. It's okay. And then she replies with, Brenna, can I do this? And I'm like, yeah, I would love for you. She goes, yay, thank you.
Yeah. And
We have found a way to communicate when one of us isn't understanding the other, and it's wonderful when you can have someone to do that with you.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry, what you were going to say?
For a lot of people, they have a discomfort with just kind of sitting back. The way they do the sacred service is by offering the most of themselves as they can. And Sky Faye is definitely that kind of person. She is willing to bend over backwards, sometimes literally for people, but she is willing to help people where she can, because it makes her feel that much more special, and that she is doing her work, and it allows her to continue growing and honoring the goddess and the god.
Absolutely. And EO Sky Faye, Clink and Drink to Sky Faye. We love you, Sky Faye. I know she's not here. She's having some stuff go on, but we love you, Sky Faye. When you clink, you gotta drink.
And we will finish off this bottle, guys. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm. So listening, what I've learned, being the Gabby girl that I am, is I try to remember.
Ariel, it's okay.
I try to remember, and Silenus brought this up. I try to remember how I want to be heard if someone is listening to me, but also you have to understand, if you're listening to someone and they're venting, sometimes you got to read body language or the tone, because are they venting to just vent, or do they want advice? That's a tricky one, because I have heard people talk or ask one advice or just an ear. Exactly. I have heard people talk, and I've learned, if they want advice, and if you give them that space when they're done talking, they'll say, and then you've got that quiet time, they'll say, I don't know, what do I do? And then that's like, okay, that gives me permission to help.
For me, it's hard because I'm a fixer. I want to make things right, and so when I hear someone venting or speaking their issues, I want to help them get past it and fix their issues. Yeah. And sometimes they don't want to be their issues fixed; they just want an ear. And it's a lesson I have to work on, and I have improved greatly over the years, but I still need to work on it day in, day out. And a lot of us do. Yeah. Especially us males, because we want to help our female partners, our significant others, and sometimes they just want to just bitch, and you just got to let them do their thing.
And Lady Calypso has something. She says, I bet you have learned so much about communication because you do it in your show. So yes, we do it here, and I also work with Bella on Candid Chats. So there's a lot. We get different types of guests. Mm-hmm. We have guests that we don't, they can actually just run the interview. It's like Bella and I can just sit back and go, all right. And then you have guests that you have to kind of pull it out of them. Yep. So it's a constant learning process, and it's one of the things that I really try to work on every day and every minute, because I do care about what people say. I just have a lot to say, so sometimes I gotta be like,
Samara, that's a brilliant way of putting it. Thank you.
Something we do in our household
is a quick check-in. Are you looking for a shoulder or solutions? And that's a good way to look at it. Are you just needing a shoulder to cry upon, or do you need help fixing this?
Sometimes I just ask them, can I help them, and let them decide how they need me. Yep, that's a good one too, Woodbine. I like that. So this is a really great way to work with Hermes, I think, is that communication, because he is the messenger. He is the one that gives us the messages. He is the one that teaches us, look for the signs, look for the messages that the gods are trying to give us, because they're really giving us those messages. And a lot of us at times, we're just not seeing them. And there's so many different ways to receive those messages. I'd like to hear how some of you have worked with Hermes, or your experiences with Hermes. It could be either communication-wise or just in general. Does anyone have any wonderful Hermes stories to share? I'm sure you do.
Including some people that have been vessels for Hermes at these mysteries.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we have our vessel Amelia here. learning those lessons last year, it was hard to learn this one, figuring out what people need from me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you want to share, you can raise your hand. Like I said, we work with Hermes in this way where we try to be a better communicator, a better listener. You work with Hermes a lot. You're really good at finding things.
I am. I have a talent and a knack for finding lost things, and I do pay a little homage to him when something is lost for one of our coven mates, or someone in our family, or someone we care about, and I will get a visual, and then I tell them, hey, look in this area. I'm seeing this, and this. It's somewhere around this.
Yeah.
And then boom, they find it.
Do you think that's a Gemini thing? Because I'm telling you, when I associate Gemini with Hermes big time. Do our other Geminis have that gift of finding things? Ariel, you said yes.
Brenda says yes as well.
Yes, it must be.
Well, but we are, he is a god of the wind, because he is in flight and moving, and so it makes sense that those of us who are air signs.
Air signs, yeah.
Yeah, and Aquarius, yes, any of the air signs, and yeah, Mercury is our ruling planet. That is true.
Yep.
So it would make sense that we would be the better finders and seekers in a sense.
Yeah. If you need to find something, if you've got a Gemini in your life, or any air sign, but Geminis, he'll find it for you.
Sage, don't just keep on giving her the side eye if she deserves it, because you know what? Geminis are awesome.
And that's a part of a Gemini. That's gotta be a Hermes thing, because I turn my finger in the air, turn slowly 360, and I find, that's amazing. Moon sign is Gemini, and Hermes is only got, Gemini rising, yeah. If you got
Nimmer,
Gemini,
you pipe her down over there. You've given us a bad name. I don't approve of this.
What did Nim say? Said every Gemini ever, right? Geminis rule.
We're twice as awesome.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, clink and drink to Geminis. Clink. I want to hear your Hermes stories. I know you do. Nimer, would you like to share? I know when you came to Spokane and Hermes blessed you, do you want to share that story or not? Is it too post-traumatic? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm kind of putting you on the spot.
No, it's totally fine. Just because I'm streaming this to YouTube, you won't be able to see my camera.
Okay,
that's fine.
So, I'm a huge fan of Hermes. Have been for a long time. I recently, in the last couple years, where I've really started to deepen my relationship with Hermes, I realized that I used to watch him when I was a kid on my way home from the school. I'd be on the bus, and I would see a childlike spirit jumping from post to post, running along with me every day on the bus for years.
Oh!
And it was only when I started working with Hermes as an adult that I was like, oh, that was you. So yeah. The Hermes story that you're asking for happened when I came out to see y'all in Spokane summer before last, and it was my first road trip as a brave 20-something-year-old. I got into my car and I made my offerings to Hermes, and I was just gung-ho. I stopped every hour at a gas station and consecrated a section of that gas station and made a shrine to Hermes with cairns. And I blessed them and I prayed to him that I would have a safe and fulfilling journey, and I'd get there. And I just walked with, or I drove with Hermes the whole time. And I was about 2 minutes from my destination in Spokane when I got cut off at an intersection and I T-boned another car.
Yes.
And my whole world went crazy and still in one moment. And the other car flipped over on itself and landed on its head. It had so much like debris and trash in it that it like when it hit, it exploded with all of this trash and debris all over the place. It was like a balloon with paper in it that got popped. And I had never had an experience like that in my life.
That'd be scary.
It was frightening when you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. It was the most terrifying moment of my entire life, and I didn't know if the other person was alive or hurt or whatnot. They pulled her out of the car and they took her to the hospital. I didn't know anything about her. I remember I knew that I needed help. And I used my phone and I took a screenshot of the map that I'd been following and I sent it to Dee. I used my technology magic to call for help. I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time, but that's what I discovered after. And Dee literally showed up on the scene with Septimus and their child Gray, and Dee walks up to me and goes, "You are a witch. You know exactly what to do here. You need to start turning your magic deosil and let's direct it towards the person that's going to the hospital and give them as much, protection and healing as they need, and then we will, take you home and take care of you." And Dee is a priestess of Hermes herself, who has a heavy practice with Hermes. And that was exactly what I needed. I needed the voice of Hermes to come through her and be like, "You have everything you need to get through this and make the best of it." If you are a student of tarot, when you look at the Magician card, you are looking at Hermes, and it is a card of having every tool and resource that you need to manifest everything in your life. So the next weekend was processing and healing because I did get really hurt. It was also pushing through and doing what I had come to Spokane to do, and massage people and talk with people and see my friends. And then my husband had to fly out because I was too scared to drive home.
Oh.
So he used technology. He literally flew to me in my underworld to get me and drive me back. And I had a PTSD. It was instant trauma syndrome. And on the way home, every time I would start to get triggered by anything in the road, it was the most miserable 9-hour drive I'd ever had. I would start reciting the Charge of the Goddess. I would use my voice. I would use my throat chakra. I would connect to the gods to get my energy spinning deosil again. And we came to this one point where we passed under this bridge that I swear to God Goddess was not there when I'd come the first time. Yeah. And I came out the other side and I came out of the underworld. I just instantly felt it. And I connected with music on the way home, and that is just a small piece of what I have learned about my whole journey. What had happened, the reason why I had hit that car was because there was children down the road that car would have hit if I had not hit her. The woman is alive. She is fine. She had a sprained elbow.
Awesome.
But when you put yourself in the God's hands, sometimes it'll be light and fluffy, and sometimes they will use you as their hammer. And you have to listen and trust and just work your way through it and look for the lessons. So, yeah, Hermes is huge. And I could go on and on, but that was my... Well, and the thing is, the first place that I'd set up a shrine to, there was literally like a small cave next to it, like a really teeny tiny one, and Dusty had pointed out that looked like the entrance to the underworld, and I blew it off at the time.
Yeah.
But on the way back, so thank you for listening to me about it.
And you took pictures, and I remember because I followed your journey here because I was all excited, and you were taking pictures of shrines, and then you took a picture of that accident. And I saw that car flipped, and at first I thought that was your car, and I'm like, oh my God, she survived that.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, that's the other person. But I remember seeing you because you gave me a massage. This is how awesome Nim is. I went there because Dee was having a spa day and invited her over to do massages. and I did tarot readings, and my coven sister Madwitch did Reiki, I believe healings.
We had a great time.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I remember you massaging me, and we were talking about it, and I just was like, oh, I was like, that's so Raven. I was like, that's so Hermes. It was awesome. I was like, I am so glad that my friend connected with Hermes in such an incredible way.
Yeah, it was extreme. It was life empowering.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Do we want to go?
Eric, we see you, and I have two things to say, and then we'll have you come in.
Yeah.
Nim's story reminded me of two things. Hermes is also the god of technology.
Yes.
So for those that have technological issues this weekend, give a little prayer to Hermes, and it could help cure your issues over the weekend.
Yep.
And also, the ATC sells stickers of Hermes to put on your car for safe travel. So look on their...
I highly recommend them.
Yes.
Yeah, so make sure you pick one up this weekend, support the ATC, and put one of these in the car, and it'll help you with safe travels.
We need to put one on the new car that we have.
Both
new cars. But yes, we had our Hermes protection sticker on our car, and it's awesome.
Yep.
You just feel him. You're just like.
We had the keychain, a token from Hermes from that Symph on our keys, and we were able to make a whole shrine with it at the crossroads that happened, so that the kind of thing wouldn't happen again. But thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Nim, for sharing that story. Eric, would you like to share your Hermes experience?
Mute.
You're on mute, hon. You're on mute.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So to preface, I carried Hermes' voice and vessel for 4 years at different spring mysteries. And it got to where I was dedicated, I remained dedicated, and I would hear Hermes' voice in my ear. At the time when I was working, I used to be traveling for business more than 200 days a year. I would often make offerings to Hermes. And just to kind of put in a little bit of a plug, if you wish to sacrifice an animal to a god, Heifer Project, you can buy an animal, and I put in always, I make this offering in Hermes' name when I would get the animal.
Tell them what the animal goes to.
And the animal goes to underprivileged people in the third world and on Native American reservations. So yeah it's good stuff. So after that heavy story we just heard, I will tell you an amusing Hermes story. I was on a company outing to Las Vegas. I had set aside some money to gamble. And I said, Lord Hermes, please help me. Please, I will make an offering of my winnings to you. And well, it took about 15 minutes for all my money to go away, and I just said, Lord Hermes, with respect, what happened? And he said, and I'll remember it forever, and now you know the nature of chance.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
In my ear, I heard it.
Yes.
Being the messenger, he will whisper messages to you. Make sure you're willing to hear them. That's what's so hard for people, is to be willing to hear the message that the gods are trying to send to you.
Yes.
Yep. Well, I typically know when it is Hermes because I hear it and I get the chicken skin.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I love about Hermes, is because, you know, and again, I don't want to give away anything for people who are attending these are the rites for the first time, but I will just tell you that my interaction with Hermes is one of my favorite interactions. That is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I will turn my camera off. Thank you for having me on.
No, thank you for having your story. That was much appreciated.
Yes.
Sure.
As a vessel of Hecate, I love it. I love it. Hermes is my person, but also Hermes sometimes is like, go away. So I believe we have
Yes, clink and drink to that.
Clink and drink. Yes, your Hermes stories. Love them. We've got
Deb?
no, Woodbine.
Woodbine, did you still want to tell a story? Did you forget to put your hand?
I don't know if we forgot to.
Yes. I do. I have one. I love both Eric's and Nimmer's stories. Great two dual aspects of Hermes. Last Spring Mysteries, I kind of got, in a way, kidnapped by Lord Hermes.
Mm-hmm.
Without going into too much detail, I didn't expect anything to happen to me over Spring Mysteries, except, be more in tune with the goddess, hear their messages, and, it was my first year.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of making a joke about Lord Hermes. Never do that unless you are prepared for him to hear it. Let me tell
you.
He's a trickster guy. He's gonna get his.
He'll get his in.
So we were all sitting around the smoking chat, and I was just like, Lord Hermes reminds me of that person that your parents tell you to stay away from, but then you sneak out with him anyways, and next thing you know, you wake up naked in a bush in Paris.
Or hanging out with me on a Saturday night, yeah.
That's how she got me.
And he just dies laughing. He's like, "You, what is your name?" And I'm like, "Woodbine, come to my shrine. I need to talk to you." And I'm like, "What did I do?" So I go to his shrine, and without revealing too much, he's like, "You're mine."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You have the same sense of humor as me. That is mine." And I'm like, "Oh, you're messing with me." And the next year, this whole year up to this, it's just been a roller coaster with him joining my other gods. And now I see him as like an older brother.
Yep. That makes sense.
And it's really funny because I work with Lou, so Lou's the dad figure and Ogma's the grandpa figure. And I have one story I tell everyone if you want to know Hermes' personality to connect with them. And say you're having boy trouble. Say you like a boy.
Kara, can I interrupt real quick? I don't know if Woodbine or if Solenox realizes you're on camera and we're watching you walk around, and it might cause vertigo for people. So I love you, but if you could turn your camera on.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm just saying, I'm watching her and I'm going, oh. Okay. Go ahead, Woodbine. Sorry about that.
So no, I have the Lord Hermes, Lord Lou, and Lord Ogma as my row father sage figures. So they're the ones I'm comparing to their personalities when I teach people how to connect to Lord Hermes. I was like, say you're having a boy problem, like you really like this boy and you don't know what to do. So who else are you going to ask? You're going to ask your gods. Who knows more about a man than like a god form?
Mm-hmm.
So say you walk in and you ask your father figure, Lord Lou, I really like this boy, but I don't know what to do. And Lou's way, well, why don't you just wait it out? Talk to each other. It's a guy. Just talk to him. Ogma's like, sweetie, you're too young. Don't worry about that. Just continue with your studies, darling.
Yeah.
And Hermes just butts in. But do you want to smash? But do you want to fuck them? And I'm like, Lord Hermes, I don't know them. That's not the question I asked. That's not the question I asked. And that, to me, it solves up Hermes in one go. He's going to get to the truth of you.
I love it.
He's not going to leave you alone.
I love it. So, Sammy and Rachel, if you could turn your camera off real quick.
Thank you.
And then we're gonna get to that later.
Was next.
So we got Deb. Deb, do you have a Hermes story you'd like to share? And thank you, Woodbine, for sharing that.
Yes.
I do. So I took a lot of knowledge from the experience that Nimmer had, and in January, beginning of February, I was traveling back from Las Vegas when my godmother passed. And I made 3 stops like not overnight stops, but 3 stops with other people on my way. And the first stop was with Annika, and I stayed at her house. And before I left to hit the road again, I did an offering and a prayer to Hermes. And then I stopped at our cousin's house and I did the same thing. And then I stopped and I visited with Mila before she moved here. And we had stopped and had coffee. And as we were leaving, I had done a little prayer to Hermes. And as we were leaving, I saw this small pickup pulling one of those teardrop trailers. Mm-hmm. And it went onto the freeway this way. And I took the wrong freeway on-ramp. Mm-hmm. And I went back south again towards Oregon. And this was in, was it in Olympia? It was in Olympia, right? Okay, so just outside of Olympia. And I start heading south again towards back the way I had come. And I made it like 5 or 6 exits. And I'm like, I got to turn around. I'm going the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like, this looks really familiar. I don't know. And I'm like, dang it, Deb, what the hell is wrong with you? I was so tired. And I'm like, okay, no harm, no foul. I'll just turn around and I'll go. And as we got closer to JBLM, which is a military base here, there's this lighted sign and it said, major collision, expect delays. And I'm like, oh, dang. And then I hit the parking lot of I-5.
Jeez.
And so it takes us a while and we're inching along. On the side of the road, parked, is this pickup truck that's pulling the teardrop camper.
Holy cow.
Okay. He was going really slow. So I would have ended up passing him if I would have followed him the right way onto the freeway. And he had stopped because in front of him, this huge accident happened. Somebody had veered into the center divider and bounced off of it and flipped across I-5.
Uh-huh.
That could have been me involved in that accident. And I honestly believe that Hermes sent me the wrong direction so that I could avoid that accident.
Sounds like it's me.
Absolutely.
And all I could, as I was passing it, I'm going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And all of a sudden it was just like, it was almost like I hear in the back of my head, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, oh, thank you, Hermes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So it was very similar to that. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. So I don't know what the outcome of that accident was, but yeah, I know that I would have been in that accident had I not been detoured.
Absolutely.
So
and you know, we all have done that when we're driving and we take a regular way to work or to a friend's house or whatever, and for some reason something says, I don't want to go that way, go this way. Mm-hmm. And then you always find out later that there was a 3-car pileup on that way you would have taken, and I do believe
or
that
you follow the slowest driver in town,
yes.
Or you hit every red light or something, and then you gripe about it and all this. So I've learned I don't complain about that stuff.
Me neither.
I'm like, okay, there's a reason I'm being delayed. It's okay. It's all good. No problem.
Absolutely.
So
I was looking up at the comments, and I'm so sorry if I'm not getting everyone's comments, but Mary Malinsky was talking about her favorite year at SIMF was when her and her husband, she was Hecate and he was Hermes, and that was a pretty incredible year.
Yeah,
we liked seeing that. There are things about Hermes and Hecate that go hand in hand. There's psychopomps. There's stories about them having relationships, and you don't hear a lot about that with Hecate because that's really not what she's about. She's it's like, yeah, she gets some, but that's not important.
She burned a different torch that night.
Yeah. Dusty, you had your hand up and then you put it down. Did you decide not to talk about a Hermes story? Because you always got a story, Dusty. And maybe he's going to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Could be. Maybe. Oh, Bella's on a call. Okay.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Well, when you're ready to speak again, let us know and we will get you back in there.
Oh, all right. Let's do it. Oh, you can't actually talk right now. Okay. Well, let's clink and drink to, sometimes we got to be silent.
And rent on that wine. That's true, Deb.
Absolutely.
So
during the Balbo ritual, I had a little whiskey, and now I've got some wine, so I'm feeling loosey-goosey. So I'd like to talk a little bit. Is there any? Am I I don't want to miss anyone.
I think we're caught up with everyone.
I think we're caught up.
Yep, we're caught up. Yep. Oh, Renee.
Oh, Renee, do you have a Hermes story you'd like to share?
Yes, we do. Hey, how's it going? You guys are freaking awesome, man.
Thank you for joining us, guys.
I love it. Clink and drink, man. Clink and drink.
I love the cat in the background. Do I have any more wine?
Freaking right on, man.
Another one, though.
I'm so out of wine. You want to grab one?
I'll grab another bottle for us.
All right, go ahead. Share a story.
All right. So we're coming from New Orleans, man, and we want to tell you a story of one of our parades. So one of the parades down here is for Hermes. So my wife is a priestess of Hermes.
That's me.
Yay!
And we never miss the Hermes parade. And you gotta remember, there's like thousands of people out on this parade night, right? Yeah. It's packed as just so many people. We're all drinking, having a good time. So before the parade, what we always do is we go out because we're all lined up on the sidewalk. So we go out into the street with chalk, we draw the sigil of Hermes, and we draw little, things like "We love you, Hermes," and all these, things to
messages.
Yeah, messages to Hermes. And then when the Hermes parade starts to roll, it'll roll over the sigils and empower them and all this. And we're sitting there and we're toasting to them. Well, when one of the big Hermes floats, you got to remember, there's a lot of floats. When it rolls through, it happened to roll over the sigil where we were, and it stopped right in front of us. We're right there on the sidewalk.
On top of the sigil.
On top. And
directly on top.
Right. And it had this big cannon and exploded this confetti, like it showered like probably 100 people, if not more. And we were like, right on, that was so awesome, man. It was like, that was meant for us. We knew it. And we were like, yeah, man.
He loves a good party.
He does. And the whole idea was that energy was just flowing through the city of New Orleans. And I mean, New Orleans loves Hermes. So freaking right on. Click and drink to Hermes.
Drink to Hermes in New Orleans. And
yes.
Oh my God.
All I got to say is, you guys can see the camera, is drink up, witches.
Drink up, witches.
Right on. So
we got a bottle topper that.
Before we move on, but if you guys ever get to New Orleans for Mardi Gras, make sure you hit the Hermes parade. There's a parade dedicated only just for him. It's freaking incredible.
Well,
oh my God, that sounds awesome.
We have a lot of friends down there that keep telling us that we need to come visit them, and we have places to stay down there. So when the world normalizes and we get down there, we will have to make sure that we try to get there during that time frame.
Yeah, reach out.
We'll have a drink.
We'll have a drink.
And a drink. I love it. Thank you so much. Oh my God.
Great story.
I love that people love sharing their joy with us, sharing their wine with us. And that's a big part of what we do with our coven. Mm-hmm. We're a lot of fun. I don't mean to brag, but I kind of do.
We're pretty amazing.
But we're a lot of fun, and we try to remind people that
it's mirth and reverence.
It's mirth and reverence, and reverence is, we get it. We get it. We're very much. I've had a lot to drink. I'm celebrating. I'm so stoked about this fucking weekend. Fucking clink and drink the Spring Mysteries, you mother lovers. I love it. I love it. I got really excited just then.
Ariel, have a wonderful evening, hon, and we'll see you soon. Enjoy your mysteries.
Is Ariel taking off?
Yeah, she's got to get up at 5, so we
Oh,
understand.
Jesus, criminy. All right, so, you may not see as much, but we know reverence too.
Yes.
That is our coven sister talking. We do know our shit.
Oh, yeah.
And we're very like, yeah. I mean, the majority of the women in our coven work with dark goddesses, so we're not
always fluffy.
We're not always fluffy.
But when it comes to witches and wine, it's witches and freaking wine.
It's witches and wine. We're fluffy motherfuckers. Does anyone else have a story of Hermes they want to share before I do my words of wisdom, I guess, or I
think we're good. I don't see any hands, so we can go back to the...
So, what I have learned about me, and I hope this resonates with some of you, is I enjoy talking, I enjoy communicating with people, and where I come from, I'm an open book. I share a lot about my life. If you have not heard my past, I will share it with you.
Watch previous episodes.
Yes.
You'll see lots of we don't hide who we are in our past.
Yeah, and so the reason I do that is not because I love the sound of my own voice.
A little
bit.
Yeah.
But the reason why we do that as a coven, and especially me and my high priest and my husband, is that we know that for us, when we would be listening to the elders in our community talk, I want to be able to reach out to someone that's had a similar past, has made some of the same mistakes that we have made.
It's not mistakes, it's lessons learned.
Lessons learned, yes. And I like to put humor on it, because if you can't laugh at yourself, then how are you going to laugh at life and be like, bring it on? And that's what we do. We laugh at ourselves a lot. We entertain ourselves, but we also laugh at the ridiculousness of ourselves. And I kind of feel like that's Hermes.
Yep.
And a lot of Dionysus. But Hermes, he's fun. And he likes to have a good time. And I'm reading...
There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm reading this book that I don't think she's in here right now. She was, and then she left. Maybe we were too much for her, because sometimes we are. There's a book called, and I never can pronounce it, and if Mary Malinsky is still in here, you can help me pronounce it. Circe. What is it?
Kirke.
Kirke?
Yes.
Yes, Kirke. It's Circe. I'm reading
Y'all
this
think
book
it's Circe.
What?
I said everybody thinks it's Circe, but it's Kirke.
Kirke. I love it. I love that. Kirke. So, do you like how my accent? Kirke.
I love her tongue action.
He likes that. I'm a Latina, so I can... Kirke. Kirke. So, I'm reading this book, and it's amazing, and it was recommended to me by my fellow castmates, and I have learned so much just about her. There's a lot of stuff about Hermes in there, visiting Kirke, and I love how I said that. Kirke. And they represent him so very well in this book, and I cannot remember the author. I don't have my stuff near me, but I will.
Madeline Miller.
Who?
Madeline Miller.
That's it. Madeline Miller. Kirke. It is such. I am obsessed with this book. It is so good, and Hermes is in it a lot. And the way that they write, the way this woman writes about Hermes, I am so attracted to Hermes. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, and it doesn't surprise me, because
the trickster aspect of it.
It's I've dated her. I'm married to a Hermes, for F's sake, you know?
I'm a pan. I just like Hermes.
Well, he's a pan. but he's also a Hermes. So when we work together, it's on.
No matter, you haven't had pants on in a while. Who you
Oops,
trying
there
to
goes
kid?
my pants. So, oh my gosh, you guys, this has been so much fun, and I hope that we have provided you with entertainment. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little tipsy. I'm a little tipsy right now. So thank you so much for joining us. So what I want to say is, work with Hermes. He's there. He's in so much that we do.
Yep.
How we communicate. The big main thing was learning to listen.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many other wonderful things that you can work with him in.
Travel, technology, the trickster, the gambling, the fun-loving. You don't get pigeonholed, because he is definitely not a pigeonholed god. He has many aspects, and it is fair to explore all the aspects of a deity. Don't just think of one aspect of them, because they are well-rounded like each and every one of us.
Absolutely. And the thing that I love about Hermes is the written word. So the books, and I write a lot. So when I work with Hermes daily, by just writing, I journal, I write. That's a huge part of Hermes as well. What?
We got people talking in the chat.
And I want to make sure EO Hermes.
Yeah. If you play a thief in RPGs, you're
EO
definitely
Hermes.
being a Hermes.
Yeah. So if you guys want to know more about our coven, Children of the Crossroads, ATC, or you want to know more about Witches and Wine, if you want to be a guest on our show, if you have something awesome to talk about, something you're great at, it doesn't matter who you are. We've had everyone.
We've had big wigs. We've had
big wigs. We've had us. We're little wigs.
Yep.
We're little wigs.
We're just a couple people in Spokane, Washington that like to talk about witchy stuff and drink wine.
But we've had we had Janet Farrar and Gavin Bone. I was like, is this really happening right now?
We've had Jason Mankey.
We had Oberon. But then everyone to us is, I don't care who you are.
We've had beautiful Calypso and Mary Malinsky on our show.
Yes, we've had everybody. And if you want to be a guest on our show, if you could bring something, then is this the real life?
Or
is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, a break from reality.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So, if you want to know more about us, please, let's put it in the... Hold on.
Madhouse, can you put the link to our...
Madhouse? Oh, look at her! Oh, fucking Coven sister!
There it is. There's our YouTube channel.
Yes! If
Madhouse.
you want to know more about us, if you want to be a guest, then please email us at...
crossroadscoven@gmail.com.
I'm sorry, what was that?
That was crossroadscoven@gmail.com.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I am looking forward to interacting with you all at the Spring Mysteries. I am the vessel of Hecate this year, which is a fucking honor, and I am looking forward to talking to you, interacting. I love you all. Remember, please be kind to one another.
Walk with the goddess.
Always walk with the goddess. And until next time, blessed be, and clink and drink.